Welcome to We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. We are talking about the UFC 293 Adesanya Strickland. And we are on the third fight, I believe, and it's between Manel Kape and
Felipe dos Santos.
Felipe dos Santos.
They call him Lipe Daytona is his nickname. But Felipe dos Santos, he's undefeated 7-0, but this is flyweight.
22 years old.
22 years old. We got the highlights going with him. He's a decent fighter. I just think that his defense is pretty good. Everything is pretty good. I think he's getting better from fight to fight.
Hands are up. He keeps moving forward.
Yeah, I think he's not fast enough for Manel Kape. I think he loads up a little bit on his punches. He's not bad. He's not bad.
Against Starboy, it's a different competition level.
Exactly. And, it's like he's maybe, he's pretty good in the first round like a lot of fighters, but the second, third round, you'll start seeing Felipe dos Santos start slowing down. Defense starts not – seeing lazy punch. You see that?
Yeah.
So, we got the highlights going while we're talking about it. So, anyways, Manel Kape is a minus 370 favorite, but Manel Kape is a guy who's top 5 in the weight class of flyweight, right? 125
He's a dangerous fighter.
Pounds. Dangerous fighter, phenomenal talent. We're talking about head movement. We're talking about in and out, super fast movement, very slick with his footwork, and just
different angle striking.
We're talking a guy who could
awesome.
potentially fight for the belt with like one or two more fights type of fighter caliber. And Felipe dos Santos, no disrespect, but he's 7-0, he's undefeated, but this is his first fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
And when a guy who's relatively good but not really looking that great comes into the UFC, like we saw last week with Guskov and Ozdemir, they look good against like guys who aren't great fighters in other organizations, but when they come to the UFC and fight a top 10 guy, a guy who's a perennial
10
top
days
5,
notice.
top 10, it's not good. They're gonna get beaten pretty easily. I think this is the same way going to be. So that's why, for me, it's Manel Kape is the pick, and I want to put him on the parlay. He's minus 370, $370 to make 100. And then also, if I can get Manel Kape by KO, just a small bet on that separate, because I just feel like it's tiers levels.
On this card, it's probably going to be a lot of KOs, which is awesome. It's going to be fun to watch a lot of these fights. So, go ahead.
No. So, I mean, I just feel like it's levels, right? That's the
Well, Manel Kape was supposed to fight Cara France, which is like top tier.
2 top 5 fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's fighting a guy who hasn't fought in the UFC yet. It's just different.
Don't you think Manel Kape should maybe be minus 800 in this fight?
I don't know what the odds makers are seeing. Maybe Manel Kape is hurt. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But like as how I see it, Manel Kape's gonna like dismantle this guy.
Yeah.
Right? And he's probably going to take him out. I don't really know. I don't know why he's only minus 370.
I see a guy who sometimes, Felipe dos Santos in the highlights, he's throwing a lazy punch here and there against a guy who's top tier like Manel Kape who can, shut your lights out with a really fast couple 1-2 strikes. Again, we got the highlights going. You can just literally see Manel Kape looks like a otherworldly talent, and you look at Felipe dos Santos and you go, okay, a guy who maybe should get maybe a shot in the UFC against a guy, who's like not really, experienced in the UFC, or somebody who's not a big puncher, and just see what Dos Santos, I don't even know if Dos Santos, his record is 7-0, but it's hard to say does he look UFC caliber? I would say I'm not sure.
Well, you only can see so much.
You can only see so much, but
he's only 22.
He's young.
He's had 7 fights professionally.
Yeah.
I mean, how much stuff can we actually see?
Well, I'll give you
the
the fact is that he's been jumping from organization to organization every other fight.
Yeah.
And
he's just trying to get a paycheck.
He's trying to get a paycheck, and he's never been champion at any of these lower level organizations. Right? Because he doesn't stay there long enough. And why? Because people probably just think, well, he's okay, but we have to pay him because he's undefeated, and it's, He
gets a call from another organization. He's like, fine,
More
I'll
money,
fight.
I'll fight.
I'll fight. I don't care. Let's go.
Which is fine. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but I'm just saying if you haven't been,
way of thinking.
it's not like he's like a fighter who's been champion at Cage Warriors, like Conor McGregor was, or people like that who Michael Bisping, they were champions in bigger organizations outside the UFC, and they became champion there, and then they came over, and that's why they had a pedigree. This guy looks like he's got to work on his fundamentals as far as not throwing these lazy punches, getting the defense better, looking for better opportunities to strike, not just throwing spinning elbows, and just being creative in there and being a little bit more technical. Because against like Kape, you try and do some creative stuff, and he can get out of the way with his head and then just come back with a 1-2 and knock you out. So I think this is going to be an easy win. This is my lock of the night, is Manel Kape to win against Felipe dos Santos. So that's my pick, Manel Kape.
Manel Kape for the win. Lock. Lock it up.
Lock it up. I think great price. I really believe that Kape should be minimum minus 600 in this fight. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
but
you're getting good money at minus 370.
great money, and
you're gonna put 370 down.
This is one of those things where I'm just like, I don't believe in borrowing on margin, but like this would be a fight for me. I'm just like, I'm considering like, hey, can I get a 20,000 loan? They're like, what are you trying to start a business? I'm like, I'm trying to bet on Manel Kape to destroy Felipe dos Santos. They're like, what the hell are you talking about?
By the way, yes.
I'm excited to see. Honestly, this is the one time I'm really more excited to just see the prediction come true and Kape just wipe the floor with this kid. Yeah. But no disrespect, I just think
that's what's fun about having this. Like, these are our bets. You can actually see him in the future.
To be fair, like Lousy said, like Dos Santos is filling in on short notice, and because of that, maybe that's why the odds makers are thinking, oh, Kape
fresh legs.
Yeah, Kape goes like, well, Kape hasn't been training. Kape's been training for Kai Kara France, who's a completely different fighter,
wrestler.
He's like a great right hand punch with Kai Kara France, a guy who is experienced, has the good footwork. Hard worker in there,
and he absolute granite for chin.
Yeah, exactly. And then Dos Santos is like kind of a taller, lankier fighter who is more creative but not so technical. So all of a sudden, you look at that and
leaves himself open.
Yeah, leaves himself open, but also can throw some interesting type of weird spinning stuff that
he wasn't ready for.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they're thinking, oh, this is a weird matchup. But for me, I'm just like, man, I just think it's inexperience versus experience. Star boy,
Mr.
man.
Backflip himself. Let's
go, man. Manel Kape here.
Manel Kape for the win.
Man.
Easy
times.